Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, maybe not yet, but that's what we're here to change today. Hello and welcome everyone, Glob here. In this episode, we're going to build our fire-themed village. The first step involves a good amount of terraforming, but it really wasn't too bad, and then we do have a serious amount of Netherack to lay down. Between this village and the water village, we are through about 10 double chests of the stuff at this point, and as tedious as this task can be, I do find it quite relaxing to not have to really think about what I'm doing and just keep powering through those right clicks. And actually, while I was laying all this down, I finally had an idea on what I'm going to call this group of villages that I'm trying to make into a mega base of sorts. It will henceforth be referred to as the Megatropolis. I especially like that I could totally see that name be thrown on both a hero's or a villain's headquarters. Here you can see me start working out a framework to put in a volcano next to the village. I decided to go with the volcano instead of the tower here to give it more variety and to just kind of fit the theme too well to pass it up, obviously. This is my first time making this kind of a natural structure, and I did struggle with it quite a bit. I think that I'm finally happy with kind of where the shape ended up, but I did need to actually come back and extend this one wall out further so that it would actually have a better shape, because it was very, very skinny on that one side. It wasn't very round. For this next part, I am going to need some nether wart, so let's just get a little patch of that going here, and then we can start figuring out where the houses are going to sit in this valley. I do have to say that I am so happy that I built that gold farm and small bartering station in the nether, because skipping the grind to gather these nether bricks really sped this process up and made my life a lot easier. This is also the first time that I've ever used the red nether bricks, which is what we needed that nether wart for, and the contrast between the two nether bricks is awesome and fits what I'm going for with this village quite well. Building all these houses at the same time also felt like it made this whole process really fast and easy, because once that basic block palette was in place, it was just a matter of fitting it into the base shape of each one of these houses. And yes, I do realize these houses are quite small, especially in comparison to what we have been building, but I wanted again to have more variety and maybe even show a sort of caste system developing, where maybe the water village has more wealth and the fire village is run more by a tyrannical dictator, but more on that later. To close off the roof, I just used a combination of shroom lights and iron fences, and then on the inside, just crimson wood to kind of seal everything in. Originally, I had planned on bone mealing all of the netherrack here to turn it into the crimson nylium, similar to what we did with the water village, but once I saw that crimson running through the valley, I decided I liked having them both to provide more contrast. With the houses now in place, we can get a bigger structure up here for what will be our tyrannical leader of this little village. I used the same exact block palette here, just in a more exaggerated fashion, especially in the front to more clearly illustrate that this is supposed to be more of a regal structure. As for my plan for this economic structure that I've been getting at, I'm thinking that each village will have specific occupations for their residents. The fire village here will have armorers and blacksmiths, the water village will have the learned librarians, and the earth village will have farmers. Since I wasn't planning on this megatropolis being a war-torn state, I figured that the fire villagers haven't seen much business in some time, so there's the lower socioeconomic status, right? Maybe I've been thinking about this a little bit too much, but what's the point in making all these villages if they don't even have any lore? I wanted to shoot for something between a castle and a house for this bigger building, so I decided to add some parapets to the front, just to try to give it some outlooks and, break up the shape vertically. After that, I came into the middle to add a staircase to the second floor and put another tower here for just a more interesting shape. I did go with the crimson planks again to line this floor in an effort to stick to the same block palette and keep this building resembling the smaller houses as much as I could. Looking back, I would have been much wiser to throw in some other blocks to be able to see what's going on a little bit better, but hindsight. And then inside this tower, I made a rather janky double staircase leading up, but due to the lack of space inside, this was rather difficult and didn't end up too well, but it's functional enough. With the basic layout for the structure done, it was time to seal it up and put a roof on it. Again, obviously we are using the red nether bricks. The other villages all had fairly tall roofs, so I opted to stick to only going up by half slabs like I did with the rest of the fire village houses. Still ended up fairly tall, but since this is a bigger structure, it is to be expected, and I am actually happy with the way that it turned out. In an effort to give it more of a dignified look, I went back and added an outline of the flagstone slabs. I really feel like once I did this building started to pop and it just kind of came into its own. Now that we have a roof, it's time to come back to the inside and replace this Netherack with an actual floor. I decided to go with the polished blackstone here and actually decided to extend the floor down a little bit more just to give some more space down here. For the lighting, since I still have so many sea lanterns left over from the water village, I went ahead and just decided to go ahead and use some of those since I am going to be covering them up with carpets anyways, so that's not going to matter. Time now to put a roof on all these parapets. You may have noticed at this point I am absolutely notorious for not having all the materials I need and have to fly off to get more during almost every step, this one especially. Let's just seal off these holes from where the roof doesn't connect, and this building is good enough for today. No village is complete without some sort of pathing, so it must be time to get to that. I went with quite a simple design for this one after struggling with that glazed terracotta for the water village. I was ready for something a little bit easier. I just dug down 2 blocks, placed lava in the bottom block, and then used orange stained glass to seal it in. I love the natural light of the lava, and it really just seemed like too obvious of a choice to pass it up for this pathing here. This path is going to connect to the water village via a little bridge over the water in an effort to make this Megatropolis feel more like one whole build. Yes, this was a lot of lava to gather, but my original plan was to make the entire path 3 wide, so I'm glad that I ended up using this design, not only because it's far less expensive, but I think it just fits better with the theme of the village regardless. Of course, we need to extend this path up to our new house castle thing using the same exact process as before. I wanted to experiment with spreading the Crimson Nylium some more and see if it would liven up the build or if it would take away from it. While I was initially happy with how it was looking, the further I got from the path, it seemed to fit less and less. I did end up undoing a lot of what I had just done and decided that it would look a lot cooler if the Crimson Nylium was just closer to the lava path. Like, it's been like spreading from where the lava is, but it can't grow too far from the lava, I guess. I don't know, it kind of livens up that path itself and just, it helps give that contrast to the build. Once I was generally happy with the shape on the right side, I came back over to the left side to do the same exact thing and just taper that on down to the bottom. And here we go, it is transformation time. So this is before I got any of the lights over there on that side, and then we're gonna transition here into kind of what it looks like now. Let's go back to that volcano. It's really not looking like much but a snow-covered lump right now, so we need to do something about that. I've never built a volcano or really ever seen one aside from like cartoon illustrations, so I'm sure that this one's gonna miss the mark a little bit. I won't take you through the struggle that was me trying to figure this out, so let's just jump to what I ended up making. Essentially, I just tried to make veins of magma blocks coming down from the top and let the lava flow down from the top as well. It was more volcano than magma and lava. Still doesn't quite look right, but it's my first attempt at a volcano, so I guess it is what it is. If you have any advice on how to make it look better, or even just want to say hey, leave it in the comments down below. Now that we've gotten our fire village in place, let's just go ahead and have a little fly around and look and see what this Megatropolis actually is right now. So currently, this is our little earth village. It's just 2 houses. It needs to get some more down here. This was the very first one that we made with that earth tower. We do have our water village here. It's a little bit more populated, and I'm still just loving that water tower with Optifine. It's just amazing. And then, of course, our brand new fire village over here. I had a lot of fun making this episode. Please, if you did like it, make sure to go ahead and just leave a like. And if you want to see some more, go ahead and just hit that subscribe button. And I will catch you on the next one. Globdob out.